Normally, when I get a video game to review, it's a racing game like Forza or F1. But this time, I'm taking on something completely different. A motocross game. Yes, the good folks at Namco Bandai sent over their new motocross racing game, which is simply called Mud. Okay, well really the full name is Mud FIM World Championship, but I prefer just calling it Mud. It's more fun that way. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect from Mud. Before this, the last motocross game I ever played was Excitebike. Seriously, that's not a joke. But hey, I love Excitebike, and I'm sure with today's powerful consoles, motocross games have come a long way since the days of 8-bit random jumping, right? You'd think so. So let me start with a little background on the game. Mud comes from Milestone Studios, and it's their attempt to recreate realistic motocross racing. Right off the bat, there are 3 modes that players can choose from: Mud World Tour, Xbox Live Multiplayer, and something called Official Mode. The Mud World Tour mode revolves around 4 heroes, each of which are fictional writers from different parts of the world. And don't they look like a bunch of winners? When first starting off though, you can only play with the one that looks like the lead singer from Nickelback. Winning races will allow you to unlock the other heroes. Once you have them, you can upgrade them by using money earned from races to buy skill points, which can go towards increasing their endurance, instinct, agility, and strength. Or you can use your money to buy equipment like helmets or energy drinks. Yeah, energy drinks are used during a race for a boost of power. How's that for realism? Once your hero is upgraded the way you want, you can use them to participate in races or have a turn at the trick battle, which challenges you to do as many different tricks as possible in a given time period. The catch here is that out of the box, your hero can only do a few tricks. Players actually have to buy additional tricks from a tragically named trick shop. I really wish that was a joke. Trick battles are fun, but for all the wrong reasons. You see, the physics in this game are bad, hilariously bad. I mean, look how much hang time I have here. I kept jumping around just to laugh at how long I could stay in the air. Doing tricks are kind of satisfying, but they're pretty easy for the most part. The real challenge is trying to do as many of them as possible in a 3-minute session. It was fun the first few times, but it quickly lost its novelty, goofy physics and all. Official mode is where all the real racing lives. Here you can pick real riders from real teams and race at real locations all over the world. In official mode, players can choose to run a quick race, run a championship season, or try their hand at the Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations. In championship mode, players choose between the MX1 or MX2 classes. They can then customize the experience by picking the locations for each round in a 12-round season. In the Motocross of Nations, an extra open class is added, but the game controls where you race. While racing is the heart of the game, it is also where it falls extremely short. The bad physics from the trick battle carry over into the racing. The controls are incredibly loose, and I found myself crashing into things in a spectacular fashion. In fact, crashes are where the physics really show off, as the rider immediately goes into a ragdoll mode with every collision, making for some very funny wipeouts, even if they aren't intended to be. The humor wore off once I realized how easily the rider can be separated from the bike. The good thing is that you can respawn exactly where you fall off, but the bad thing with that is that the computer opponents can knock you off the bike as well. So if you crash in the middle of a pack, you can literally be spawn killed several times, only to get going again at the back of the pack with nearly no hope of catching up. My frustration was compounded by the horrible soundtrack. This game is plagued by a score of brain-melting emo rage rock that sounds like it came from an angry Fall Out Boy cover band who hates their parents. Seriously, listen to it. The entire game has this kind of music. If you find this enjoyable, then more power to you, but I had to play the game on mute after a few minutes or my eardrums would have quit on me. If you put the bad physics, worse control, and horrible music aside, the game isn't all bad. One area where it really excels are the graphics. The game looks great and the environments of the tracks are incredibly detailed. There are realistic looking buildings, lush plant life, cheering fans, even inflatable arm flailing tube men. If the gameplay matched the quality of the visuals, then this would have been a much better experience. Instead, this game is kind of like a B horror movie from the 70s. It's only enjoyable because of how wacky and bad it is. Although I would imagine that any hardcore motocross fan would probably have more fun with mud than I did. In fact, if you really like motocross, you should go ahead and try this game out. However, if you're like me, then things are different. Maybe if this game was a $15 download, I can recommend it to a more general audience. But considering this game is going for $40 at major retailers, I'd say wait until you see it in the bargain bin. On that note, I have to say that Mud is definitely not worth the hype. It's a 4 out of 10 for me.